Oh.
Ah. Yeah. No.
Of course.
No. No. Are you done? Are we done Goldblumming? This week we're talking about a film in which some kind of tech lab does something untoward involving locusts, killing crops, and whatnot. And apparently there are dinosaurs. Yep, that's right. We're talking about Jurassic World Dominion. We got news, games, trivia, and VFX talk. It's all coming up right here on What's Our Seat Number. Let's have an episode.
Oh, fuck it. What's our seat number?
Hello and welcome to What's Our Seat Number, the show where we ask questions like, why are studios so preoccupied with whether or not they could that they never stop to think if they should?
No!
What?
That's exactly what I wrote for my intro for the next episode.
Uh-oh.
Well, who'd have thought that you and I would have similar thought processes? Great. Okay, continue, please.
I'm Johnny Gross, a filmmaker and part-time paleobotanist. With me, as always, is my brother.
Fuck!
Oh, shit.
It's all right. Paleobotanist is only one of the things. That was for me, so I'll think of something else.
Okay.
For me. Just like, fuck it, I'll just rewrite the whole thing. We need to coordinate on these.
No, let's just see.
Go on.
Let's just see how the rest of this goes.
Go on.
With me, as always, is my brother, a chaotician, mathematician, a pediatrician, and occasional 3D graphic artist. It's Simon Gross.
That's all right. We're good.
Alrighty then.
Who'd have thunk-a-dunk?
Who'd have thunk-a-dunk that we might have similar ideas of how to do a Jurassic World episode? Okay, this is going to be brief because there's not a lot of it this week.
Yeah.
And I'm even foregoing it for the next episode because there's just no point anymore. Here we go. Here's some movie news. Movie news. We don't have to wait.
Again, we don't have to wait. The other thing, are you like hearing the jingle in your head? That's what you're doing. I'm like going, movie news. I'm just hearing that in my head. Please continue.
Okay. No, this is a visual aid, so the listeners at home are not gonna really get the benefit of it, but you are gonna get Si's reaction.
Okay.
So on this week's movie news, Morbius.
Spare me.
There is a Morbius 4K buying frenzy on the 4K group that I'm a part of. People are actually going out and buying this movie, and some of them I'm fairly certain that they're ironic, but most of them are buying it unironically. Now, do you know how much a new 4K Blu-ray costs?
$30?
$30.
Really?
Imagine spending $30 of your hard-earned cash on a movie that most people agree is complete and utter shit.
I'm perplexed. I'm bemused.
Yeah. So a week or two ago, there was a the Batman Steelbook posting frenzy.
Yeah.
Where people were posting their Steelbooks, and it was like literally every other post.
Yeah, I don't get this either. You told me about this.
Right. So the last couple of days, I have screenshotted all of the Morbius Blu-ray.
Oh my goodness!
This is proof.
He's showing me his phone, and he's still going. He's still flicking through them. Why do you waste your time with this? What is wrong with you? He's still going. Like,
look,
that's
okay,
it. He's done.
Okay, so at least 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 people have bought Morbius on 4K Blu-ray. I think the studio.
Least 10.
I think the studio's already broken even from that.
Goodness sake!
Oh my god! And also, I sent you a screenshot the other day. Yeah. There was a petition that was entitled, "We were busy that weekend. Please release Morbius in the cinema for a third time." Oh my goodness! So the only reason why I'm doing this is because you said to me the other night, why the fuck is Morbius always in movie news? The reason is because
you made these people make that petition just so that it could get into the movie news. That's why you did this.
I am the mastermind behind the entire thing.
Is this because of the DVD thing where Johnny has like this massive collection of DVDs and Blu-rays and whatnot. Now it's all Blu-rays and some 4K now. And one time I said to him, I've taken one of two movies, and I've basically swapped their discs around, and
this was shitty of you.
And he was like, okay, well, you have to give me some kind of hint, like, what director, is it action, are the two movies connected in some way? I'm like, they are in no way connected. They were picked entirely at random by the madness which resides within my brain, and I said, good luck. And about 6 months later, I think I copped to it that I actually had done nothing, and it was driving him crazy.
I don't think it was 6 months. I think you played this con for a long time.
You think it was more than that?
I think so, yes. Because
Really?
I only found out not that long ago.
Oh.
Because I believe I came back to you and I said, you know that thing?
Here's me believing I'd come clean.
You know that thing where you switch two Blu-rays around?
Yeah.
And obviously I hadn't come across it because, I don't watch all of my Blu-rays every day.
He was perfectly prepared to believe that I had just very cleverly made it two very...
Right. But I did spend a good chunk of time opening Blu-ray boxes.
He did.
And closing
It was
them
really
again.
funny. It was really funny. There was a long... Also, I think that Shosh at one point was like... We were sitting in the living room watching The Rocketeer or something, and Johnny goes through... Like, what? I remember what it was. He was like, where is it? Ah! And she, turns to me and she's like... Why are you doing this? This is so juvenile. And I'm like, well, if you don't agree with it, why don't you say something? And she's like, I'm not getting involved. So she's an accomplice, really. You go to jail for that as well.
This whole movie news Morbius thing is in no way proportionate to that. Okay, you you just have to know
Not even
that something's coming one day.
Sure.
Sure.
I'm like, I live for this shit, man. I'm like, you kidding me? You do this? I froze his toothbrush inside of a bottle one time.
Oh, there's a picture of that. Ladies and gentlemen of the What's Our Seat Number group, I will post it for you so that you can see that it is in fact true. My second bit of movie news today.
Just remember your face when you finally found it and you were standing with the bottle under the tap looking.
Because it was like, this is not even a prank.
Can you just imagine his stupid little face?
Yeah, but it's like, all I've got to do is like melt it, and then I've got my toothbrush back.
I know. Because you said to me, "What the fuck was the point in that?" And I said, "This is one of my specialty pranks. It's just a pointless waste of your time." That's what it was.
Like that 2 minutes, you're never getting it back.
It's literally that. We did the same thing to a friend who used to go and we were staying in this sort of villa together for a while. He used to brush his teeth 4 times a day. So me and my best friend we froze it inside a big bowl of water and we had this big freezer. We put it in there and we left it next to the sink in the boys' room when it was time for him to go and brush his teeth again. He was just so upset. We just left the tip of the handle out of the top of the water.
Just the tip.
Just the tip.
Right. Did any of them question why you had let all of the chicken in the freezer thaw and spoil? Just
no,
it
was that big. It was enough room. But what's really funny is that no one ever got us back for anything because we also took someone's mattress and hid it in a tree. Just stupid stuff. Can we move on with a podcast?
A podcast. I just wanted to shout out to a guy on the Empire group. I posted a picture of my popcorn on Sunday night.
Yeah.
When we went to see Jurassic World Dominion.
Yeah.
And the reason why I did that is because this guy always posts a picture of these extravagant, probably extremely smelly meals from that angle.
Yeah.
That he's and it's usually in front of the IMAX screen when it's doing 3, 2, 1.
Yeah.
So he didn't finish it before the movie started, okay? And there are people sitting there going,
what the hell is that?
What is that? So there's been all sorts of things, all sorts of fried foods, and it's always with a cream soda. I don't even know what a cream soda is.
Yeah, I saw that
know.
post and I was like, what is that? Is that just cream with soda in it? That sounds disgusting.
Fizzy cream.
That sounds disgusting.
Carbonated cream.
What is a cream soda?
I have absolutely no idea.
You didn't do any research in preparation for this episode? It's not very professional, is it?
No, this is an off-the-cuff story. But the thing is that there was one time about a month ago or 2 months ago that he posted a picture of him with an entire whole chicken, a whole rotisserie chicken.
What?
Yeah, and it just that post blew up. There were 500.
That is bonkers.
500 comments on it or whatever.
That is absolutely.
And now
bonkers.
every time somebody posts something, from that angle, it's always where's the chicken? I just like every time I go to the cinema, I'm always looking for that guy with the can I take a selfie with your chicken? Anyway, moving on.
Why did
news.
they not stop him at the cinema? Like,
I have
are
no
you,
idea.
Excuse me, sir. Are you carrying any rotisserie chickens on your person today?
But it used to
no.
be. It used to be that you were not exactly frisked, but you weren't allowed to take in outside food because the food at the stand is usually extremely expensive.
Yeah.
That's the point. It's how they make their money, not off the tickets. But anyway, I digress. My second bit of movie news is that...
fuck, we haven't even finished movie news.
We haven't even finished movie news.
Did I say movie news?
Movie news.
You did that last week, didn't you?
So, we're running on very little sleep. This is fumes right here. Gaseous emissions. Speaking of which... Soda.
Okay, please continue.
Okay. There has been an announcement for a sequel to the movie Joker.
Yeah, this is also nuts. Go on.
Le Folie à Dieu or something like that. I can't remember. But anyway, Lady Gaga has apparently been cast as Harley Quinn, and it's reportedly a musical.
It could be good. You don't know. You don't know.
It sounds
odd, doesn't it?
It sounds
odd.
Okay. That was movie news.
Don't wait, because we don't need to.
Movie news. It's time to play You Bastard. 6 Degrees of Killing Sean Bean.
You stupid bastard!
In this game, I generate a random actor using an actor generator, and one of us, in this case it will be Sai, and then it will be my turn, we must connect that actor to somebody who has murdered Sean Bean in a film.
In 6 moves.
In 6 degrees, correct. So, are you ready, Sai?
How long do I have? It's a minute and a half.
It's a minute
Tell
and a
the
half.
people. Okay.
Your actor is James Caan.
James Caan.
James Caan. There are so many movies that you know with James Caan in them that can be connected, hopefully, to Sean Bean. And do you want to get up and walk away? That helped you last time.
Sure, but I don't think I'm going to get this.
And your time starts now.
Okay, James Caan. Let's say Al Pacino?
Okay,
I don't know.
that works.
I don't know if it works. Hang on. I'm thinking. Don't rush me. Alright. There's, Al Pacino. Wow, he's been in so many fucking things. Has Keanu Reeves been with Pierce Brosnan or Christian Bale in anything?
Maybe. I have to think about that one. You like some help?
Go on.
You want to use Gary Oldman if you're going to Keanu Reeves it? Dracula?
Oh, fuck. Okay, yeah, okay. So, Christian Bale to Equilibrium, no? He kills him in... Gary Oldman to Christian Bale.
Ah, right. Yeah, there you go. That's it.
No, I want to...
Crafty little bastard.
I want another shot at that. Wait, how long did I do that in? Wait, what was...
You did that in a minute.
So just like... No, we did it in a minute, really.
We did it
in a minute. This can be a co-op game, why not?
Yeah.
So, okay, so that was Al Pacino to
Keanu
Reeves
Reeves.
to...
Well,
from
James
James
Caan in The Godfather.
Yeah, who was with Al Pacino in The Godfather.
Right.
Al Pacino
To
was
Keanu
in The
Reeves.
Devil's Advocate with Keanu Reeves.
Right,
Keanu Reeves was in
with
Dracula with Gary
Gary
Oldman.
Oldman.
Gary Oldman was with Christian Bale in Batman, and Batman killed...
Batman killed Sean Bean in Equilibrium. While all Sean Bean did was read, and Christian Bale was sent to shoot him in the face.
Now, am I just really, really tired, or was that one... That was a tricky one. Could it have been done faster, Susie?
I'm not sure actually. I mean, I'm sure there could have been some kind of Titanic connection with Kathy Bates.
Yeah.
Right. You could have like gone
Misery.
the Kate Winslet
Okay,
route,
so,
or the
yeah.
Leonardo DiCaprio route, or
Mm-hmm.
maybe there's a Billy Zane connection to Sean Bean somewhere. I'm not sure. Well, Nicole Kidman, I'm sure there's a
Yeah.
because of Dead Calm. I don't know. There's lots of ways to do it. I'm sure there'll be a future Johnny.
Well, no, I mean, you know, you could have done. Hang on, you could have done Khan to Kathy Bates in Misery,
Right.
and then she was in. What did you say she was in? She was in Titanic.
Titanic.
Right? Okay, Leonardo DiCaprio.
Right.
Who was with what's his name? Who played the Ra's al Ghul clone? Who was with Christian Bale? Who killed Sean Bean?
Oh, Ken Watanabe.
Ken Watanabe, who killed Christian Bale. So it's exactly the same amount of moves.
Yeah,
It
yeah.
can't really be done.
Basically,
quicker.
Christian Bale is always the connection.
Or Pierce Brosnan.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
he's died. I mean, what are you going to do? The movie where he gets killed by cows and pushed over a cliff. Are you going to like connect someone to cows? Here, what movie was Al Pacino with cows in?
I just I don't know if any of you saw it, but I posted a video the other day of Sean Bean talking about
I saw it.
like why he dies in movies. I don't know, you know. I play a lot of bad guys, and you know.
Yeah, I like being a bastard.
I don't know, you know, like a bastard, you know. All right, I'm going to confer with you on this one.
All right.
Because I've just gotten Daniel Radcliffe, and I know that I can connect Daniel
Of course
Radcliffe
you can.
immediately to Gary
Immediately,
Oldman.
yeah.
So I will pass on that.
Good on you, though, because if I would have gotten Daniel Radcliffe, I would have just gone, yeah, all right, and rubbed it in your face. So
Right.
you're a better man than I. Continue. Who'd you get?
Right. I have absolutely no idea how I'm going to do this, but I got Peter O'Toole.
Peter O'Toole.
Yeah.
That's maybe possible.
It's maybe possible. I'm thinking of... I've got it. I've got it already.
Really?
I've
Okay.
got it already, and okay.
No, if you got it, you got it.
I got it, but I need to articulate it because I'm
Okay,
not sure.
go on.
Okay, so my time starts now. So Peter O'Toole was in Supergirl with Faye Dunaway.
Yeah.
Faye Dunaway is in the opening scene of the Thomas Crown Affair with Pierce
Pierce
Brosnan,
who killed him
Sean
in
Bean.
Goldeneye.
That's good.
You crafty little bastard.
That is really good.
Okay.
15 seconds.
Yeah.
That's not bad.
But to be fair, that I kind of clocked it just before
You
I
did.
put on the timer.
No, your brain
Should I-
made the connection very quickly.
Okay.
I'll give it to you. Johnny won this week.
Thank you very much.
Congratulations.
Thank you very much. That was You Bastard. 6 Degrees of Killing Sean Bean.
Stupid bastard.
You stupid bastard.
Well, that was fun, as per usual.
Yeah.
Let's talk about Jurassic World Dominican.
All right.
Jurassic World. Jurassic...
Yes, that was the problem with that sentence. Jurassic
I
World
just want to
Dominion.
say, that there aren't enough people watching the minisodes from the field.
Why is that?
I don't know. There just aren't enough. And I think that one was
That's
our best
really
one.
rude. Because we put effort into those.
There was some serious like Spielbergian magic in that one.
I mean, Johnny even stood behind me while I filmed that whole thing of the camera going out from behind the bush and seeing the cinema in the background, you know, and all that. He stood behind me. He was directing.
I came
You know,
up with
he had
the whole we have an IMAX.
Yes, you know, he's we put so much effort into that. You don't watch it?
Also, there were like that pratfall at the end.
Yeah.
I wasn't sure if I was going to be able to pull it off, but
You did it.
I did.
You did it.
Yeah.
You still got it, Johnny. Still got it.
So okay. Right.
Not
so we're going to talk about context with Jurassic Park in the next episode. So let's go.
Where's context? Said nobody listening. Go on.
I'm sure there's somebody listening that's going to go, where's context? Like, for example...
If there's anyone listening, they're going, what is this mess we're listening to? This episode right now, thus far, is like the aftermath of what happens to the pie in Jim's house in American Pie. It's like just a caved-in, mushy pie cherry mess.
We'll just have to tell your mother that we ate it all. So, Jurassic World... Dominican. Now,
stop calling it that. I did it one time and it was a mistake. You won't let it go.
Well, it just like sort of reminds
Rolls off
me
the
of
tongue, doesn't it?
It rolls off the tongue. No, it's one of those things that's like, you know, you had Baywatch Hawaii.
Yeah. Jurassic World Dominican.
Yeah. So I'm like
Anyway, dear.
Okay. So let's just go through. I mean, I've got a whole load of notes.
Yeah.
And I think that's going to be the bulk of this episode.
Yeah.
There's a little bit of trivia. I'm not sure why I had to say it in this accent.
And now Johnny is going to be Dracula for the rest of the episode. So strap in, everybody.
There is a little bit of trivia.
I think what you should do is slap yourself around the face to make sure that leaves your brain, and then you'll be fine.
Yes, I cannot stop. That's better.
He clapped his hand next to the microphone.
Why
He
do
did
you
not
have to do
actually
it's
slap his face.
Babe, this is radio, not television. Let's talk about Jurassic World Dominion.
Okay.
What are your thoughts on this?
Let's talk about
dumpster fire of a
expectations.
film.
It's not a dumpster fire of a film. So you really didn't like it.
It's not that I didn't like it. I did like it. I enjoyed it while I was watching it. There's a lot of fridge logic.
Yeah.
There's a lot of flaws.
Yeah.
But in all, I was just being cool and jumping on the hate Jurassic World Dominion bandwagon.
So,
but anyway, go on.
I enjoyed it mostly. I didn't hate it as much as everybody else hates it, and I also I enjoyed it more than Fallen Kingdom.
Funny that you say everybody else hates it, because as we said in the minisode, if anybody was paying attention or anybody watched it,
you said no one watched it, so we already know the answer to that.
I mean, some people watched it, but probably just not enough. The groups that I'm in, there were a lot of people posting all the negative reviews that started coming out, the 30% Rotten Tomatoes score, all that stuff, the critics score. But the audience score is actually quite high, and the reviews that people were giving on the forums are actually pretty glowing. The people saying, it's a 3.5 star movie. 3.5 stars is not that bad when you all things considered.
I'll give it 3.5.
Yeah, I'd give it around that as well. I think that it's an entertaining movie that lacks a certain something. There's always I'm looking at it, I'm going, there's something missing here, and it's in the direction, it's in the script. We'll get into that, but yeah, I mean, a lot of critics hated it, but a lot of audiences did actually enjoy it, and that's, I guess, what this movie is made for. The audience.
It's definitely made for the audience. I have some theories about why, I like how it could have been different, and how it may have been how it could have made that 4-star.
Right.
And it depends on whether you want to get into it now or after we've gone through notes. But I did want to start off by sort of saying I like it as an audience member when like Force Awakens. Everybody says, oh, but it was very formulaic. It just followed A New Hope. The storyline of A New Hope.
I don't care. It made me giddy. I don't care.
Yeah, I think first of all, there are many established story structures. Right.
Yeah.
And A New Hope uses some of those. And I think that it's very hard to copy another movie and make it really, really entertaining and spine-tingling.
So this is tingling. So this is interesting. This is interesting that you say that about A New Hope, because the inspiration for A New Hope were things like Flash Gordon and crucially John Carter of Mars.
Yeah.
And the reason why John Carter was such a monumental flop is because everybody thought it was derivative, when in reality that Star Wars itself was derivative.
Yeah.
So I wonder if somebody had made a John Carter of Mars movie first, like in 75, and then Lucas had come around in 77 and made Star Wars, whether or not Star Wars would have been lambasted for being...
There are other issues with the John Carter movie, such as, not really following the book. Like, it does a lot of... It just misses a lot tonally.
But it's a kind of chicken egg kind of situation.
Yeah, it's a very interesting point that you're making.
Yeah, and also, you talk about things like Tomb Raider and Uncharted and Indiana Jones and all that cycle of National Treasure, all that cycle of movies sort of...
copying serials.
But also like certain movies surpassing... the originals. So, for example, when Crystal Skull came out and then National Treasure came out, people were saying National Treasure was actually better than Crystal Skull. Mm-hmm. That it was surpassing the thing that it was inspired by.
Because it was aping the first three more than it wasn't doing anything. But first of all, I really, really enjoy National Treasure.
So do I.
I think every time I watch it, it's a Nick Cage performance that's very, very sort of held back, like in terms of his craziness. Yeah. And then there's those little sparks of, if you will shut up, all right? There's a lot of stuff like that.
I love those kind of those sort of archaeological digs, tomb raiding kind of things.
Not Sahara. Sahara,
actually, I rewatched it not that long ago, and I actually quite enjoyed it. Maybe because I went in with very low expectations, because the first time I saw it, I was very nonplussed. But... Yeah.
We're sailing away from the point.
Completely sailing away. But what I'm saying is that like National Treasure is one of those movies that is critic proof.
Mm-hmm.
So if they make National Treasure 3, which apparently they're going to do now that Nicolas Cage has resurged, they are going to. It's going to be a movie that we will probably be talking about much in the same way that we're talking about this one.
Yeah.
In that it's critic proof. It's the kind of thing that entertained me for a couple of hours, but you know it's not gonna win awards, and it's not going to delve deeply into the Benjamin Gates, the character that Nicolas Cage plays.
I was really
Psyche.
hoping that this one would do that though, like Dominion. Like I'll say this. I enjoyed Force Awakens in part because it followed that structure,
right?
And also how beautiful it looks, and the colors and the characterization and the lightsaber effects are like they've got this new like fuzziness to them. It looks really cool, like it's energy.
Yeah.
And there's like all these and the sword swings are like heavy, like the fights felt meaty. So there was a lot of
because nowadays the lightsabers are actually like big glass lights.
Yeah. And the beautiful thing about The Force Awakens is that it makes its innovations in how it's retelling this story, right? And you know that's kind of what did it for me. Now with this movie, I felt that they missed their chance, and this is where my theory comes in about how it might have made that 4th star. I like Jurassic World for the same reason, the first one, right?
Right.
I felt that people were complaining about, it's in a park, and you know the dinosaurs get out, and then you know they have to like rescue people, and people get eaten, and it's like. Yes, and that is what made the original, and it's an homage kind of to the original, and it follows the same structure, but its innovations are in those little things, like you can train velociraptors, and that you know he's like this sort of you know hunter guy. He's not necessarily a paleontologist. He's not a doctor or a professor of any kind. He is you know a hunter and you know he's an action
ex-army.
Yeah, exactly. So it's a different role, and that's where the innovations come from. And I feel that if they would have made the original 3 fit into that movie somehow, or into Fallen Kingdom, right? As in maybe Jurassic World introduces these new characters, and then in the second one. You know, in Fallen Kingdom, you introduce the original cast, and they're on the island, and there's this volcano and all of that. If they would have stuck with that plot, because I was interested in it while there was a volcano on the island.
Right.
It's once they got off the island very early on, and there was this whole thing with the mansion and the whatever, it was an Indoraptor or whatever the hell it is.
Yeah.
And you know, just the scheme didn't make sense. The bad guys were uncompelling. Listen, the whole thing with this other John Hammond's partner, right, who we've never heard of in the original trilogy, like that sort of stuff doesn't need to be, because you already have a very solid base of storylines, right? And it could have been John Hammond's, you know, like it didn't have to be. It was so very strange, and so this cloning thing was also very odd to me, and it just came out of the movie scratching my head. And so trying to fit the original 3, the trio, into this odd cloning storyline, then putting the locusts on top, that's where it loses me. And if they would have just tried to fit them into, they need to go to this island for whatever reason, as you said to me when we were coming out of the movie, these movies need to figure out a way to make them go back to the island credibly, right? So if it's about going and rescuing them from a volcano or whatever, if they could have found a way to get the original 3 back there and managed not to kill them off by the end of the movie, 4 stars probably.
Okay, so I have my own issues with Fallen Kingdom, but overall I really enjoyed it. The issue I had was exactly what you say, was that when I bought the movie on Blu-ray, Fallen Kingdom, and I started watching it, and it lost me at the beginning, right at the beginning, because I felt that it wasn't a solid enough reason for them to go back to the island. Yeah. The fact is that everybody knows at this point that if you mix humans and dinosaurs, that people are going to die. Yeah. Right? So the idea of them going back to the island and not just letting nature take its course as it has done, you know, as it had done 65 million years ago or whatever it is. So it just didn't ring true to me. Once they got off the island, that's when things to me started getting interesting, because I quite enjoyed the gothic mansion and the sort of haunted house aspect of it. It was cool. It kind of brought back callbacks of the original movie, of having the dinosaurs stalk
It was really cool. The mansion, the Gothic mansion, and the Indoraptor, and you know, it hides and it stalks them is really cool. It's the scheme, and I say the mansion not because the mansion itself isn't cool and the setting isn't cool. It's very cool. I even enjoyed the whole San Diego thing in the Lost World. I like the whole mixture of, them being here. I did enjoy that.
Yeah.
It's just the scheme and the whatnot and the bad guys and the cloning thing. It's just too much.
So this is the reason why we're talking about Fallen Kingdom is because in the same way that Rise of Skywalker was inextricably linked to The Last Jedi and had to follow on from it. Yeah. So Jurassic World Dominion has to follow on from Fallen Kingdom. So what we have here, look, the cloning thing is not unprecedented because the whole idea of Jurassic Park is based on cloning.
Yeah.
But the
no, it's not that it's implausible to me. It's that it's not interesting.
No, I'm not saying. I don't believe that you think it's implausible. What I'm saying is that it's a natural progression of that plot that you come from using cloning technology and techniques to create dinosaurs that have been dead for 65 million years in order to clone humans. I would have thought that it would be the other way around. Like, let's clone humans first and then we'll think about dinosaurs. But anyway, I digress.
You digress.
I digress. So I thought that then they're saddled with this girl Maisie and they're in the lodge and they're a big happy family. And I thought that all things considered, considering that each movie progressively since the first Jurassic Park has had to find a contrivance in order to get humans and dinosaurs together, I thought that this movie did quite a good job of taking what had happened in Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom and continuing on from it. The most ridiculous thing to me was the
locusts.
No, wait. The locust is the locust. Yeah, I didn't love the locust. I thought it was a terrible plot device. But the as I said in my snarky intro, but the whole ending of Fallen Kingdom with Claire deciding to free the dinosaurs, to me, is the thing that made that entire movie fall apart, because you know that you're putting loads of people at risk. The whole thing about The Lost World and Jurassic Park 3 and Jurassic World and Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom was about trying to stop evil people from taking dinosaurs to the mainland. Yeah. And then at this point, they're like, okay, well, there's a bunch of dinosaurs on the mainland. Let's set them free. So now we have this progression. And apparently Colin Trevorrow, the director, had, unlike Star Wars, had an overarching plan for the entire trilogy since Jurassic World. So this was always going to happen. Yeah. It was always going to be that the third of the trilogy was going to be a story about humans and dinosaurs coexisting.
Yeah, but how they got there is like...
How they got there is ridiculous. But this movie doesn't even deal with that.
No.
It's not really a story about humans and dinosaurs coexisting. It's a story about another pharmaceutical company, with evil labs and technicians and whatever, trying to do something evil with the technology.
Also with a tenuous connection to the first Jurassic Park film, and
with Henry Wu. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Not just Henry Wu with
Dodgson. Yeah. That is actually, apparently, in my reading, I found out that character that Campbell Scott plays in this movie is actually Dodgson from the first Jurassic Park, who gives Dennis Nedry the Wayne Knight the.
But also, you saw he had the shaving cream can.
Right. So
it was him. It was his. Yeah.
Fucking strike that off Trivia Corner then.
I'm sorry. I have to rewrite my whole cold open for the second episode, but you cross off one thing from Trivia Corner because I was watching the film and paying attention to the fact that he had the fucking can in his hand.
Right.
I'm the bad guy.
Yes. But I mean, look, there are many reasons why the character of Dodgson falls apart. He's not a very good character. He's not played very well. He's not written very well. But I think that the one thing that Trevorrow misses, I think he kind of does this in the first Jurassic World, is that he created really compelling characters. To me, compelling. I love Chris Pratt. I love Bryce Dallas Howard. I like their chemistry together.
I don't like her at all.
I like her.
No, I mean, I think she's likable enough in the first one.
Right.
Like, after she stops being unlikable because that's her character.
Right.
But, like, I didn't believe her at all in this film. In this one, in the third one. Like, I felt like her acting was a bit off. I don't know.
Okay. It's a legitimate criticism. I suppose.
What was wrong with it? What did I say?
No, I don't know. I'm trying to think back to her performance in the movie and whether or not I noticed anything awry.
Well, I mean, it's just like what you say, how she released the dinosaurs, and most
she
of this
needed to be,
is her fault.
Yeah, she needed
right?
to be
also
a lot
the original
more,
Jurassic World, and she's talking about how I have to. We have to protect this little girl, and we have a duty and a responsibility and whatever. And it's like, you should feel more bad and you should stop doing things without thinking first. Because you're doing a lot of stuff still that is sort of that kind of behavior, and you need to fucking work on yourself a little.
Is this a Christine from Drag Me to Hell kind of situation?
No, it's not no, I don't think she's a bad person. I think that there are overtures. She's making all sorts of protestations of wanting to do better and all of that, but it's an odd performance. I can't put my finger on it. Maybe it's just me.
Okay, so I'm not sure, but I will say this. So what Spielberg managed to do in the first movie, aside from the sort of the complicated camera setups and the blocking and all of the these great editing techniques and the John Williams music that he always inspires, is the fact that his work with actors is always top notch. Yeah. And I don't know if anybody listening has recently seen the movie Always.
I haven't seen it in a very long time.
It has an ending that drives me a little bit crazy because it's overly saccharine and sugary and whatnot. But the main part of the movie is the trio of Richard Dreyfuss and Holly Hunter and John Goodman. And first of all, the script is incredibly sharp, and the way that he directs them is exactly the same kind of style that he uses with Laura Dern, Sam Neill, and Jeff Goldblum in the first Jurassic Park. And that is what made Jurassic Park special, because there's only about 15 minutes of dinosaur action in the first Jurassic Park. Yeah. The rest of it is all about the humans. There is more tension and excitement in that dinner scene, than in the whole of the last trilogy combined.
That's similar to what I just said to you like a couple days ago. You said that they used to make movies and they were more exciting than they are now
because the focus has to be on the characters. Yeah, the point is that it's the direction and it's the scripts are also much sharper. Yeah. And you've got those character moments in Jaws, for example, like the dinner scene between Roy Scheider and Lorraine Gary and Richard Dreyfuss, and all of that stuff that you have in E.T. Like it's always about the characters, and it's the same reason also why it's very obvious that Spielberg took over most of the direction of Poltergeist. Because those scenes in Poltergeist, those family scenes, have a very distinct Spielbergian quality to them, and it reminds me more of Close Encounters than Texas Chainsaw Massacre or Life Force, directed by Tobe Hooper. So I think Spielberg's got a very specific style, and The Lost World, a lot of people criticize The Lost World. I think I wouldn't say it's on par with Jurassic Park, but it's very distinctly close. A Spielberg movie. Yeah. And he's got a certain touch that Joe Johnston, I think, is a fantastic director. He came in late in the game in Jurassic Park 3 and he wasn't able to hit those heights. Yeah. And then Colin Trevorrow and J.A. Bayona, it doesn't have that spark.
Well, listen, I mean, the first one, like Jurassic World, had a different kind of chemistry and dynamic to the characters, right? Which was good. But you bring back the original trio. What I do like is that I read, and I hope this isn't going to cross something off of your Trivia Corner thing, so I'll tread lightly. But I read that the original trio were given the option to say, this is in their character, it's not in their character. Right. And
I think that in general, a lot of these kinds of movies, it's not like when you have Tarantino on the set and he's like, do not change a single fucking word of my script, like I will shut your butt down. But
flawless impersonation.
Thank you. But I think in general these things are very collaborative, especially when you're bringing in legacy characters. Yeah. But I think the telltale sign, just sort of finishing off what I was saying there, is that the dialogue scenes between specifically Laura Dern and Sam Neill are very stilted and kind of kind of awkward, like,
Yeah.
and that the acting is also not the greatest, and that just shows what a great director Spielberg is, that he can bring out the best in great actors. Whereas this script and the direction given a very kind of sort of below par what the work that they had done in the original Jurassic Park.
Yeah.
Goldblum just comes on the set and Goldblums for 2 hours, you know.
Well, I mean, why would you want to change what Goldblum does?
Right.
Like he goes there to. It's another thing. Is he was very, very entertaining, and I was laughing at every single line that he said. But his performance in The Lost World is a very haunted one.
It's
and
brilliant.
It's a very, very different performance, and I want to talk about it in the next episode. But so we'll table it. But his performance in this film is very sort of playing to the audience, you know,
right.
like he's, you know, and that's fine. Like, I don't have a problem with that. I think that, you know, but words.
I want to generally address, and we've talked about this before on the podcast. I want to generally address the idea of a legacy sequel, that you can no longer make a sequel to a movie, even if the movie has had some kind of revival. You can no longer make a sequel without bringing back old cast members, original cast members. So, for example, you've got Scream, that had an entirely new cast and could have thrived just fine without Courtney Cox and David Arquette and Neve Campbell.
Yeah.
And you had Ghostbusters Afterlife, which is the big obvious legacy sequel that totally could have managed without any of the original characters returning, and in truth they only return for about 10 minutes of screen time, maybe less
than that.
But the fact is that Jason Reitman built up this incredible sort of coming of age atmosphere with some great new characters that could have taken the movie to the denouement. What do you feel about all these things, and specifically with relation to Jurassic World Dominion?
So I knew that you would ask me this question,
of course,
and it's
an obvious question.
Yeah, no, it's not. No, I'm not saying that it's an obvious question. It's a great question.
I'm totally owning the fact that it's an obvious question.
I think it's a great question, and it's something that we've asked before and we've touched on before. But I've been really trying to, in the last couple of days, since watching the movie, sort of think really hard on what it is exactly that I feel about these, because I really have had a bit of a mixed reaction to a lot of these films. I'm
kind of conflicted because it's I'm almost frustrated that we're back here talking about this.
I'm not, because I think that the climate at the moment is making these films. It's natural that we'd be talking about it, because it is what's, you know, swimming in the water at the moment. And
right,
I know, but that's a gross analogy. I don't know. It's like floating in the toilet.
It's what's floating in the toilet at the moment. But yeah, I mean, it really depends whether or not it's done well, first of all. But can a movie not survive nowadays without gratuitous callbacks? Like Spider-Man No Way Home,
very indulgent.
Very indulgent. I love that movie. I love it to bits. I love seeing Toby. I love seeing Andrew. Spoilers. And I love seeing all of the previous villains coming back. Willem Dafoe hasn't missed a beat since 2002. You know, I love all of that. But at the same time, Spider-Man Homecoming and Spider-Man Far From Home didn't do that and didn't need to do that, and were great movies.
Right. So here are my feelings. I think that there are several ingredients to bringing back a legacy character, and this is going to sound a little mean in one of these, I think. So these are the ingredients. It's what I think makes it successful. It's a cow's opinion. It's more. So the first one is characterization.
Right.
Okay. If you are able, and the actor is able, to make it feel like this character is older but is still the same person, and the words coming out of their mouth sounds like that character, right, then that's a success. So like an example of, in my opinion, what works and what doesn't work, Ray and and Bill Murray, and Venkman, they still sound like themselves. When Ray picks up the phone, it sounds like him, and the words coming out of his mouth sound like him.
That's why I said I thought that they should have been a bigger part of the movie, which is something that this movie, I guess, does right. If you're looking at it like
exactly.
that.
The example of where it doesn't work so much, and you and I don't really see eye to eye on this one so much, is in The Last Jedi, is Luke.
I don't feel as strongly about it as you do.
People have said to me it's because he's old and he's gone through a lot and he's failed. And I'm like, yes, but it still doesn't sound like it. There's a moment where he goes, Chewie, what are you doing here? And that really sounds like Luke. But other times, and there's just so much that's wrong with that. And then the second thing that I think is the second ingredient is, and I'm sorry, I'm giving you a sermon on the mount.
I just want to sort of like sneak something in there. Bruce Willis as John McClane, by Die Hard 5, he's completely unrecognizable as John McClane. All right, carry on.
No, you're right on that one. So the second ingredient here is the physical look, and I'm not just talking about the physical appearance of the actor. Like in this one, Sam Neill, said he was going to get in shape and lose weight and work out so that he could do the running scenes, and he looks like Alan Grant. But just older, and that's great. Bill Murray looks like he's falling apart. Does
he
Dan
looks
Aykroyd,
like his zombie cameo in Zombieland.
He does. See, that's mean. I didn't want to be mean.
Okay.
No, leave that in.
I do love Bill Murray though.
Anyway, so I think it's also the visual style of the movie that it kind of fits into the same category for me, where The Last Jedi visually felt very, very different from The Force Awakens, and it felt very odd, like just the colors and the just the way that people were behaving. So it's mannerisms, it's physical appearance, and all of that.
So there is a cohesive quality to these 3 Jurassic World movies, though.
Yes,
like visually,
exactly. So there's a great cohesion, and the other thing is that the 3 leads do still look like themselves. I mean, the 3 original, the legacy characters. So they do still look like themselves, and they still do the things that they were doing in the original movies. Ian Malcolm with the stick on fire, running. He is running. They're all running, and they're all like crouching and hiding behind cars. And these
running
are people,
and screaming.
So it's not like hey, let's watch the geriatric club while the young people jump around. Like they're not in wheelchairs being pushed around by the younger actors.
Right, so I feel the same way about the Screamcast. They also.
Getting stabbed and stuff.
No, they also did a good job.
So I think those are the main ingredients. I had a third one, but now I've forgotten it because you interrupted me so many times.
Stop messing with the smell, kid.
Either way, I'm sorry that I gave you a sermon on the mount, but it's like I was really thinking about this because I knew you'd ask me.
Because the look, I think that there's a need to not just surprise the audience, but look, in No Way Home, there's definitely that element of like Marvel wanted to surprise the audience. Whereas in this case, it's like sort of teasing. In the trailers, it's like, oh, look, Alan Grant's back. Oh, Ellie Statler's back. Oh, Ian Malcolm is back. So there's like a lot of that stuff going on. Why can't they just make a sequel? Why does it have to be a legacy sequel? Why couldn't they have just made Ghostbusters 3 with the original cast?
So, they could have done that.
Like, why are the original cast? Why are they all these like legacy characters
coming back to support?
Why are they in guest starring roles?
Because that's a really good question.
Because quite frankly, I think a movie could have stood on its own with Sam Neill and Laura Dern and Jeff Goldblum.
Because dinosaurs are now like living in the world with people. They were at the original incident, and they could be called upon as experts in this situation, and that would bring them back to the story.
There's really no reason. There's really no reason why they can't do that.
The locust thing was really a very strange addition.
So let's talk about Biosyn, because the whole thing to me was an excuse to get the characters back into a facility that is infested by dinosaurs. So again, nothing new. And you've got an antagonist in Lewis Dodgson, played by Campbell Scott, who is nothing more than a petulant child, basically. He's very bland. He's not frightening. He's not even like weaselly enough to be sort of like Dennis Nedry. He's not he's just not a very good villain. I didn't think that it's this element of the plot, the whole locust thing, the whole reason for Ellie Statler bringing Alan Grant into the picture and meeting up with Jeff Goldblum, that whole thing to me is completely superfluous and didn't have to be. What I would have preferred is if somehow the continuation of Fallen Kingdom would have been the main plot.
Yeah.
And it's more visceral that way. They're going after Maisie.
Yeah.
They're going after Maisie, who's been kidnapped and who's going to get sold on the black market so that her genes can be replicated and whatever, because they've discovered the secret to cloning,
key to human cloning,
or whatever. And the dinosaurs and Blue and Beta and whatever.
They make very little of what an important scientific discovery she is.
Right.
And it's more about which I think is great, the whole who is she, like as in she's trying to figure out who she is, that's cool. I think that what you said just a moment ago about Dodgson not being particularly scary or intimidating is that, in Jurassic Park there was no intimidating or scary bad guy, and also pretty much the same for the Lost World. It's not about a bad guy.
It's not about that. I think that you had those characters who have their own self-interest at heart. That you have Dennis Nedry.
It's about human hubris. That's the villain. That's what I think is the crux that's missing.
Right.
And Dodgson is just like, I'm lazy. I steal everybody else's research and then I call it mine. And then
right. But he's lacking in charisma.
Exactly.
So if you take all the bad guys from previous Jurassic movies, like Dennis Nedry is a really slimy bastard.
Gross guy. Yeah.
And then you've got Pete Postlethwaite and Peter Ludlow, who's John Hammond's nephew. In every Jurassic Park movie, there is a corporation who is greedy and who wants to.
In the Alien movies too.
Right. But it's always like a sort of like a human manifestation of that. You've got Vincent D'Onofrio in Jurassic World. You've got James Cromwell in Fallen Kingdom, and in Dominion you've got this guy. And I'm sorry, but he just doesn't measure up to either of them. He's not a very well written character, and to be honest, his character in Jurassic Park is very fleeting and doesn't make very much of an impression.
Doesn't make an impression, which is the point.
So to decide to base the main antagonist of this movie on that guy is a little bit kind of weak to my mind.
Yeah.
So
there's also characters that just don't go anywhere, like the woman who is sitting with Maisie on the plane and in the car, and who also stops her on the bridge, completely disappears from the movie once they get on the plane. She's like a
bounty hunter or a courier or something like that, right?
Not the blonde. I'm talking about.
No, I know what you're talking about.
So
yeah,
I don't think she's a bounty hunter. I think that she works for the blonde, but it's just like this weird. It's this circle of people who are working for Dodgson, and then you don't hear from them again in the movie. And it's like, if we could please focus on one of them, it doesn't have to be great, but just focus on one group who are trying to do something. And by the way, that fantastic conceit of dinosaurs that, they are trained to hunt you down and kill you if you've been marked with a laser.
So that
I thought that was really cool.
That was what the antagonist of the first Jurassic World was trying to achieve.
Yeah.
I
thought that was really cool, and I love that whole chase sequence. I thought it was really cool, and I think
I thought that Santos should have been in the second half of the movie as well.
Yeah.
I don't understand why she wasn't. She just sort of disappeared.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
They didn't spend the time focusing on what the conflict is for the characters, right? Is it these locusts? Is it the fact that Maisie's been kidnapped?
Is it the fact that Beta's been kidnapped?
Beta's been kidnapped? Is it the fact that there's this facility and they're probably doing some bad thing? Like there's a lot of weird.
There's a lot of stuff going on.
Weird things that don't connect to anything.
So I felt that way about the first half and the second half of the movie, that just didn't seem cohesive.
Yeah.
The first half of the movie has a kind of globe-trotting, kind of Mission Impossible, James Bond kind of vibe,
and I really dug that.
And there's like a kind of a sort of dino black market. That kind of plays like the Star Wars cantina, and I thought that maybe if they would have, I think they should have like decided one or the other.
Yeah, exactly.
The locust thing quite frankly could have been ditched,
but just cut
it completely out.
There are so many reasons that Ellie and that she would have gone to Alan, and that Ian could have been there already. Like there are so many ways they could have gotten them to if they really wanted to get them to Biosyn in the end, and not to the black market. I mean, if they would have maybe just focused on the fact that there are dinosaurs living among us, and that there are obviously people who are going to exploit them as a black market, thing. And there are these dinosaurs who are being made into weapons by people. Right. And then they bring in the original trio, on a kind of, animal rights sort of thing. And you guys have experience with these, and we want to get these animals out of there and shut this down. They could have gone in with like a CIA team or whatever, like the one that's already there to stop the handoff. I mean, that's also like a shitty plot that I've just suggested, right? But, it would have been more cohesive and to the point.
I think it would have been believable as well that they would have been able to get them back, because the whole thing was that Ian Malcolm and Alan Grant didn't want to go back to the island.
Yeah,
it was always like we've done the whole dinosaur thing. It's dangerous. People die. I don't want to go back there. And now that the dinosaurs are coexisting with humans, it makes no difference, because they've probably got a T-Rex in your backyard, right? Yeah. So I don't know. I don't think they really went with the whole idea of dinosaurs free in the world as far as they could have done. And I think that look, I really enjoyed the scenes in Malta. Yeah. And there's a motorbike chase in there that rivals. That completely rivals the one at the beginning of No Time to Die. Yeah. And it really gives off it's genre mashing. That same thing that they did with Fallen Kingdom with the whole sort of Gothic mansion thing. Yeah. Is the idea of bringing in kind of a globe-trotting Mission Impossible kind of vibe to it. You've suddenly got Chris Pratt rolling around with shooting guns and all that kind of stuff.
He's been marked by this laser and these dinosaurs that are like half raptor, half like something else.
Great callback to the first Jurassic World movie as well, with him on the bike with the him controlling the raptors.
Them. Yeah. And it's really well done. It's just like, well, if they would have just stuck to one thing. Maybe.
Yeah, it's unfocused, and also I told you, like, when we came out, that was 2.5 hours. Yeah, they could have easily shaved off half an hour or 40 minutes. I think it would have been a much tighter movie, and I think agree. A lot of people. I think what people don't understand a lot about editing is that sometimes you just take a few things out and mash everything that was there already together, and then suddenly people are like, oh, that's so much better. Well, that's a lot of movies that bloat like that. Yeah. That the people, oh, that was terrible. Really could have done with a little bit of a shave.
Yeah. Now, all of this being said, right, we're saying all these things that don't work, but we are also saying that there are some really fun scenes. It is entertaining. Right,
it is entertaining. I know. Also, I've seen every Jurassic movie in the cinema since The Lost World. Yeah, and there is a sort of rush when you get that's John Williams' score repurposed here by Michael Giacchino. And I didn't want to break tradition.
Yeah. No, but there's like some really cool stuff effects wise going on. There's that whole scene where Claire has ejector sheeted out of the plane. And
that's another great set piece. There's some great ideas there.
The plane, and they have the island has some kind of system, sonar system, whatever, a defense system that keeps the pterodactyls and other flying predatorial dinosaurs at bay. And they realize that there's an aircraft coming in with Chris Pratt on it, and so they turn it off, and then the dinosaurs start attacking the plane, and it crashes. Right. And Chris Pratt sort of releases Claire's ejector seat, and she lands in the middle of the sort of foresty, jungly area, and there's this dinosaur that is covered in feathers and is, hunting her while she's like crawling away, and she crawls into some water. It's a very tense scene. Yeah. And you've got this beautiful, you've got light rays coming through the feathers. There's a subsurface scattering going on, which is basically light passing through objects. If you've ever held a torch up to your hand and you see the light shining through it and your hand glows red, that's subsurface scattering, for those who want to know what that is. And so it's like, it's coming through the feathers. It's a brilliantly shot moment and whatever. Just more of those. right?
Yeah, but actually there's a lot of those in the movie, and there's a lot of good things about it. But having those sort of
they
moments,
have to be connected by something that makes sense.
Right.
It's because at the end of the day, you go to one of these movies and you go, it's gonna be dinosaurs eating paper. Right. So, you don't want to be like, oh, okay, popcorn. Hold up a minute. Where are my dinosaurs?
Right. So that's what I'm saying. There are lots of great set pieces. There are lots of great moments. I also like DeWanda Wise as well as the pilot.
Yeah.
She's pretty good. She's got a great Han Solo vibe going on there, and she's got a great relationship to her plane, like Han Solo has to the Falcon, for example. So I really enjoy all of that stuff. It's just that there were too many saggy, badly written, badly directed moments that could have easily been snipped. And the other thing I wanted to talk to you about was Ellie and Alan, and their relationship. Now there was some talk. I read an article that the journalist wrote that it was ambiguous in the first movie whether or not they were together. Now I don't agree with that. I think that
not, because Ian says to him, "Are you and Dr. Sattler?"
Exactly.
And he goes, "Yeah."
So I think that it's pretty damn obvious that they're together, and it's obvious that it didn't work out, and for various reasons. But I don't understand why Laura Dern's character can't be married with kids and then carry it through to Jurassic World Dominion, that she's still happily married and with kids, and that there's a conflict there, and at the end of the movie, they don't get together.
Yeah.
I think that conflict could have made for an interesting sort of frisson between the two of them that there just isn't in this movie, because the
first thing she says
is my marriage didn't work out.
Apart.
And it's like, it's so, you can see the screenplay.
Yeah,
you can see it. It's like it's so obvious, the contrivance of her marriage not working out.
You also never see her.
Open.
I don't think you see her kiss him in the first movie.
Not at all. No, they're a couple, but
but they're not like PDAing.
Exactly.
And so it was not like, oh, they're kissing again like they did in the first movie. Nothing. Like, why are they kissing at the end of this movie? Like, it didn't feel. It felt very forced.
Right. It felt very forced, I thought. But anyway, so at the end of the movie, they do in fact get together, and it's like it's less of an more of a
yeah.
While I'm on the subject of the T-Rex, posing in the circular fountain.
I did that while we were watching it, and it happened, and I went, ugh.
No, because he's walking past, and then he
poses like,
oh,
howdy day.
The Goldblumming.
Yeah.
There's this great bit where Ellie goes with Claire they're basically doing the same thing that Ellie has to do in the first movie, with John Hammond giving her direction. Like, there's a switch, and you have to flip these switches, and then there's a green button. Push it. So it's a similar thing here. Instead, you've got Ian Malcolm, aka Jeff Goldblum, on the walkie-talkie telling her what to do, and he's saying things like, there's a green button. Don't push that button. And 4 from the top. There's like, what? 4 from the top, a third one down. It's the same thing. Like,
it's really good.
It's really funny. And I just think like that entire finale is really entertaining solely because of Jeff Goldblum.
Yeah.
Every single thing that
a dinosaur on your shoulder.
He's like, I made a promise to Blue. You made a promise to a dinosaur.
But there's also some stuff in that finale that makes me that also makes me mad. Like Chris Pratt has a very special bond with velociraptors, and he can do that thing. He's trained them to do that thing with the hands, right?
Right.
He's never trained Beta to do that, so I don't understand why Beta isn't jumping on him. And then, like, Sam Neill lifts his hand up like he's known about this all along. Like, he's never seen him train a dinosaur.
No, he's just
before.
copying him. He's like, oh, that's all you need to do. Hold up the hand. There must be a how it should have ended, where he holds up the hand, the dinosaur just bites it off.
And it's just like, it was just a very sort of like, oh god kind of moment. Like, you know,
it was a bit much.
His thing is don't move. And they have that moment where both of them at the same time say, don't move, right?
Yeah.
And that's okay.
Hey, guess what? This thing happened in the first movie. Check that out, everybody. Heard.
Yeah, that threw me off completely. I don't know what I'm saying anymore. Let's move on.
But on the upside, good thing, Maisie getting trapped on the ladder between the teeth.
Yeah,
that was really intense.
There's a lot of great stuff in the finale. Yeah.
So basically, to sort of sum up, I enjoyed at least half of the movie, and if they would have snipped out the other half, it would have been fantastic. But I think that I also think that 2.5 hours is like, I mean, all of these movies are running long lately.
Yeah.
And whereas I think the Batman benefited from it somewhat.
Speaking of running long.
Yeah. Oh my god, that's very meta.
Thank you.
Very meta.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Freaky Circle.
New Zealand.
Yeah, I don't know. We've got New Zealand now.
To be honest, I've already said everything I wanted to say about the effects in the movie.
Okay. So,
like it was the most impressive thing was to join me in the cacophonous rambling of Signs of Madness. So basically. Basically, what I said about the light shining through the feathers, there's a lot of stuff like that. They used a lot of, they found a way to bring more feathers onto the dinosaurs. You know, it creates this beautiful effect. It's really fun. There's a scene where there's a dinosaur who can go underwater, and like, you know, the Chris Pratt and DeWanda Wise are on the ice, and it's cracking, and this dinosaur jumps under the ice and starts swimming under them, and it's pretty intense, pretty cool. So there's a lot of great, like, you know, wet-looking dinosaur going on there. There's a lot of awesome interactions between, you know, the physical and the non-physical, like the CGI and the non-CGI. And, you know, also some great practical stuff. There's a lot of practical dinosaurs and animatronics and stuff in the movie, which I thought was really, really impressive and welcome. It's very welcome. Yeah. And I know that they have been trying to do that in the Jurassic World movies as much as possible.
Yeah, the T-Rex that when they're in the cage in Fallen Kingdom, when Bryce Dallas Howard and Chris Pratt are stuck in the cage with the T-Rex in Fallen Kingdom, that's an animatronic, and I really don't see how they could have done that entire scene in CGI. It would have been so artificial looking. But anyway, go on.
Which goes into the cold open for the next episode, actually. So that's really quite nice for the people who listen to the next one.
All right.
So speaking of which, counters and madness.
Okay. Well, those were our thoughts on Jurassic World Dominican.
If you can call that thoughts.
Next week, Baywatch Hawaii. No.
What is the next episode going to be, Johnny?
We are going to talk about the entire Jurassic Park franchise as a whole.
A whole.
And hopefully you will stick with us long enough to hear that one.
Indeed.
That will be a lot of fun.
Well, we'll see you all then.
Thank you for joining us.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
What's our seat number?